Hello, this is the game show by Isaac and Pranav. And today we'll be covering long run aggregate supply. As the name suggests, long run aggregate supply is the aggregate supply in the long run. So the long run aggregate supply is straight because in the long run, price levels don't affect GDP. So if you look here, it's completely vertical. As we said, price level does not affect GDP. So whether the price is high or the price is low, it doesn't matter. And the shifters of the long run aggregate supply are the exact same shifters as the production's possibility curve. So technological advances, human capital, and physical capital. With human capital being knowledge, physical capital being machinery, and then technological advances being technology. The long run aggregate supply shows the maximum potential GDP for the economy. And if they're below the economy, they're not making their GDP is not at optimal production. And if they're above, then it's too much. So economies will usually shift back and forth depending on to maintain this long run aggregate supply. Okay, so the next topic will be equilibrium, and that's when the demand and the supply meet at a certain spot to create the preferred amount of products. So shifts in the aggregate demand and the aggregate supply create shocks, causing the equilibrium to shift off the longer aggregate and create either expansionary or recessionary gaps. And on the next slide, we'll teach you how to change or how the policies that will put these expansionary gaps back into place or the recessionary gaps back into place. Anyways, as this review, equilibrium, for example, if demand is greater than the supply, then you'll have a shortage of goods. However, if the supply is greater than the demand, you'll actually have a surplus of goods, which you do not want either. You want it to be right in the middle, right here, where they meet perfectly. Next is expansionary gap. This is when the equilibrium exceeds the long run aggregate supply, which means they're demanding more than they can actually supply, and they're supplying more essentially, but they need to return back to longer aggregate supply. So this means the economy is above full employment, and when that happens, everyone has a job, right? So they're going to want the best job possible. So wages are actually going to increase in the long run. But however, when this happens, since the wages have increases, they cannot produce as much output, and therefore the short run aggregate supply actually shifts to the left, right here. However, if that isn't enough, the demand can be shifted by the government using fiscal or monetary policies. So fiscal, they would either decrease government spending or increasing taxes. Decreasing government spending means there's less people need to start providing on their own. There's less stuff they have. So, for example, subsidies, they won't have those anymore, and investment spending overall will go down. And monetary, if they decrease the money supply, then people have less money, right? So they're going to be spending less money. Okay, and finally is the recessionary gap. So that means it would be around here. The equilibrium point would be around to the left. And this means they're not at their full output, and real GDP is under their actual output, and then they're just not producing as much, right? So economy not at full employment at all, and they're gonna need to return back to the LRS. And when the economy is under, nobody has a job, right? So people are getting desperate for these jobs. So the wages are actually decreasing because people don't have a job, so they're going to be looking for whatever they can find. And when these wages decrease, companies don't have to pay people as much, and this increases the aggregates of the SRAS, or the short run aggregate supply, so it increases. But if this isn't enough, the demand can also be shifted. So the government can use expansionary fiscal and monetary policies to change this. So if they were to use fiscal policies, they would increase government spending or decreasing taxes. If you increase government spending, you are increasing investment and people can buy more. So your healthcare is getting paid, so you don't need to worry about that stuff anymore. So you're getting more, you can spend more on consumption. And decreasing taxes is simple. You get more money from your paycheck and you don't have to worry about um taxes when you're shopping. It's much less. And for monetary supply, they can increase the money supply. If you have more money, you're obviously going to spend more money. So, yeah. Hello, we are going to be starting the game show now. As I said at the beginning, this is actually a game. So, all of that was just review, and we're going to be starting today. So, we actually have our contestant here. What is your name and when were you born?
Hello, my name is Pranav Satish. I was born 2018.
Oh my god, that is amazing. Anyways, so we're gonna be asking our contestant a few questions here. So, um, for starters, after watching the video, so what do you think LRAS stands for?
Thanks to your amazing presentation. I'm pretty sure it stands for the long run aggregate production.
Oh my god, you were so close. You were off by one word. What do you have to say for yourself?
Hot diggity darn! I'll do better next time. I got the next question though.
Okay, so you even though you said production, it is actually supply, but they're the same thing technically. It's just supply. So next question, we're gonna be asking, what do you do in a recessionary gap?
In a recessionary gap, you just climb out of it so that you're not in a recession anymore.
You were so close. Would you like to try again?
I got you, bro. So in a recessionary gap, you expand until you're not recessed.
That is correct. So what you're gonna want to do is you're gonna want to apply fiscal and monetary policy. For monetary policy, you're gonna want to increase the money supply. So you have more money, these guys can spend more money, and this will help them get out of this recession. And for fiscal policy, you're gonna want to decrease taxes. This means they can spend more because paychecks aren't being taken out, and shopping taxes aren't as big of a deal, and all of that leads to that. So one more question and then we're gonna end the game show. So what do you think? Why do you think the LRS curve is a straight line?
So it's a straight line because
Go.
So it's a straight line because when they were designing the graph, they wanted to make it easier for students to interpret. So if it was straight, they'd realize that in the long run, the supply is also straight.
You are so close. Although it is easy to draw, the reason it is straight is because even when prices shift up and down, the GDP is gonna stay constant. So even if the prices are super high or super low, they will always be the same. So you were so close, pronounce speech. Unfortunately, you were not. You were not gonna win anything. So I'll put his social security number and number down in the bottom of the video, and I hope you enjoy.
Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and follow iWhack King on Twitter for more amazing macroeconomic videos.